Now I didn't really know anything about what happened between Cedric and Katt Williams as far as the joke. That's new information to me. But as far as what happened to him with Steve Harvey, I knew about that situation ever since it happened. That was like 15 years ago. This was a long time ago. But I knew when it happened. Katt Williams had a situation with Steve Harvey around New Year's Eve and different things. I heard about they had a situation about who wanted to go on first and who was going on last and who show was and different things like that. And Katt Williams was saying he wanted to have a battle off with Steve after that. He wasn't saying it in like a negative way. He was just saying like, I want to go against Steve. I want to, me and him should go against each other and see who's the funniest. But I didn't know the situation as far as, and then comics say this a lot. And Katt Williams, he's the first one to actually call it out by name because it's a lot of comedians they've been saying on podcasts and interviews ever since 2019, 2020. They've been saying a lot more, but they were saying how comedians were going on before the guys who were actually like more of the opening act or guys who weren't the star or the main attraction of the show. They were saying like, how would you make the most money on the show? You know what I'm saying? But you're the guy you're not going last. You're going in the middle or you're going before the last guy, and you're letting the guy in the middle go last, which would be sometimes Katt Williams. So that's definitely something that a lot of comedians had trouble with, and that's something that bothered Katt Williams that night because, in my eyes, at first I thought like, why would that bother him? But then later on, I realized like, oh, he's the one who's basically getting less paid, but he's doing the job to where he's the final act, but he's not getting paid like the final act. So that's kind of like a ripoff a little bit, you know what I'm saying? And a lot of people have said that, and this is all allegedly, but a lot of people have said that Steve Harvey had trouble going on after certain comedians because he wasn't that funny. And when Katt Williams went on stage, if y'all can see on the just type in Katt Williams, Steve Harvey New Year's Eve, he showed that he was talking. Katt Williams was talking about how Steve wasn't that funny, and all he did was roast a girl for 15 minutes. And he was saying that because Steve had just came off stage. And he know like Steve's not that funny, you know what I'm saying? And some people in the black community, they feel like Steve just ain't that funny. Like he has kind of those, you know, they're not really funny jokes. They kind of just obvious jokes. They kind of repeated the same stuff. You know what I'm saying? It's not really good jokes. He kind of explains the jokes, so it's not what people like. People more like, people like the relatable jokes like Bernie Mac or just different people like that. Or Katt Williams. But Katt kind of feel like slighted, you know what I'm saying? He already coming in the game, having to get things on his own. Most of the tours he was doing before this time, you know what I'm saying, he was trying to put together on his own and just different things like that. And to have Steve Harvey kind of come in and try to do certain stuff. And Katt Williams even said, like, Steve Harvey need me on the card. He need me on the show to make money. Like, they wasn't even going to go on with this show if he didn't have somebody to come in and sell the tickets. He said, I'm the one who's selling the tickets. And you know what I'm saying? Katt Williams was already feeling like, I need to be getting paid the most. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm doing most of the work now. So with Steve Harvey basically moving that way, and at that time, you know, he still that's Steve Harvey. You know, he had a TV show. He felt like, oh, I'm way bigger than Katt Williams. Why would I even address that? You know what I'm saying? But a lot of people didn't feel like Katt Williams would be around a long time. And if Katt Williams didn't put this amount of work in as far as with his touring and put his own money down, and over the years, people don't really realize this, but Katt Williams is known for putting his own money down to do certain stuff as far as touring, and just from day one, he always flipped his money back into himself as far as touring and stand-ups. Most of the stand-ups was his. He's always had his own stand-ups. So it's definitely been that way from day one. But a lot of guys, they haven't had it like that. Steve Harvey doesn't have a situation like Katt Williams. And look how long he been doing comedy. And you know, guys will say, well, I've been doing stand-ups and this for so long. Why you ain't got that many stand-ups then? Why you ain't selling those stand-ups? Instead of actually just going along and performing stand-ups for free and not really getting no replay value on those stand-ups. You could be recording these stand-ups and selling them, like Katt been doing. And Katt showing people the game, like, get your own crowd, start touring, do this, do that, and you good. And now he doing the same thing. Especially when it was like DVDs, now it's going to app, but he's on Netflix now, but he was already showing people the game. They had to come to him. He was doing everything. He turned one opportunity and another opportunity into stand-ups and different things, and he was going along with it. But with Ced, though, and Ced stealing his joke, I don't think he liked the situation as far as, because if y'all don't know, after Ced stole a joke, he came out with a TV show, and he had a TV show, I think it was on Fox, and this is all alleged, but I think it was on Fox, and I think he had like JV Smooth and them guys on there, and you know JV Smooth was funny, but he could have had someone like Katt Williams on there, like as a regular. Around that time, you already stole his joke, so why not give him the opportunity? And people will be like, well, he ain't have to do that because that's his show. Yeah, but at the same time, as y'all can see, the show wasn't on a long time. So it wasn't good enough. So if you would have had Katt Williams on there, seeing how much of an attraction Katt Williams is now, and Ced was smart enough to know that Katt Williams had a good enough joke to steal it. So Katt Williams could have been on that show. They probably would have been on still. But guys don't think of that. He wasn't thinking of that, though. See, guys would just rather steal something than to build with a guy like Katt Williams. Now Katt Williams looking back like, see, I told y'all to try to build something with me, but instead of doing that, y'all clicked up. Y'all giving other guys opportunities. Because if y'all look at it, Steve Harvey, they had Katt Williams on there, Think Like a Man TV show. And they had Gary Owens on there. Katt Williams wasn't no option for that show. So it's like, yeah. You know, if you look at it like just on certain things, like, they don't even give Katt Williams the option to be in certain roles. They kind of want him to be the background. He ain't really like a starring role. He like a supporting actor always. He ain't never getting a chance to really have his own show or have that opportunity. So people can't really say, oh, well, he probably clicked up with them too. No, not really. Because if he was, he'll be out in front. He'd be having a lot of supporting roles. He ain't really got nothing that's really, like at a high level. Everything he got to do, he got to fund that and put it in his pocket on his own. I remember when he had to hustle on Wild and Out and stuff like that. At that time, I was kind of thinking in my mind, like, man, Katt kind of a little too big to be on Wild and Out, ain't he? But no, not really, because he was only on a couple things before that. So it was like, no, he still got to build his audience up, which he did. And now, just like now, if y'all realize, the guys from 85 South Show, they use that Wild and Out crowd to build that stuff up until 85 South. And Katt Williams, what he did, he used Wild and Out to build that crowd up until the Torn and the Pimp Chronicles and everything else. And people knew what they got by then. You know what I'm saying? So he had to market himself. He really used certain hustles to kind of get his name out there. His name was bigger than what his pocket was at certain points, but then his pocket started getting way bigger, and he started investing. That's why he looking at guys like Ced and Steve, and he's like, these dudes getting opportunities. Then he stole my joke. He could have put me on the show that he had. He put JB Smooth and these dudes on there. And that's just real talk. Like, if you gonna take from the dude, and like, let's be real. If Ced would have had pulled Katt to the side and said, "Oh, let's just work together" and stuff like that, that would have been a crazy combination. Katt probably would have been funnier than him, but he still would have been able to carry Ced, and Ced probably would have been probably funnier working off him or something like that, going back and forth. Just like people didn't realize Martin and Will was a good combination until Bad Boys came out, but at the same time, he know he could have did him way better than what he did. Stealing the joke and then acting like it didn't happen and certain stuff like that, and Katt's already bringing it up, and then people trying to act like it didn't happen, and he got to come out with evidence, and now when people see the video, they like, "Oh, now I believe him." Like, that's why it's crazy. That's why most of the time, people like Katt Williams can't really say nothing, because people like, if it ain't on video, I don't believe you. So Katt like, I ain't gonna say nothing then. Cause if it wasn't on video, they would have thought he was lying. So that's definitely bad. But Steve Harvey, he knows what Katt Williams mad about, man. Katt knows, man. And the way Steve goes about things, he's one of those guys in the business. He don't really want to be associated with guys who just coming in the game like that. Like, if you ain't on that level, or you ain't worked together, like Ricky Smiley just now to the point where Steve would probably like be associated with him on a daily, but they don't really be working around each other like with certain guys. That's why certain guys ain't in the movies. They're not gonna put Katt Williams and Think Like a Man. Stuff like that. That's definitely not gonna happen. And if you look at the stuff Ced been doing over the past 10 years, you know, we just don't rock with them anyways. Like, they going to a whole different audience than what they was first on when they first came up. Like, Ced hasn't really did no kind of real movies that's a big deal that we really been trying to check for. So Katt Williams kind of right about a lot of things, man. Guys be riding the wave, and the joke he talking about, that's one of the biggest jokes that people use about Ced and how funny he was. And come to find out, that ain't one of his jokes. So that's a big deal when everything coming out. And Katt like, man, I wasn't even saying nothing, but he came up here flexing and doing everything else and acting like it ain't happened, and then went left. So I agree with what he said. Because when the same thing happened to them, they look how Monique was when she went up there with Steve. You heard what she said. She said to him and how he said everything, so you know how he feels. But Katt let it be known though. Like, this dude went out here fronting, acting like he bigger than what he was, stealing from Mark Curry, stole his joke. But that's what a lot of comedians be saying though. They be saying dudes be stealing jokes, and they do not want to go after certain comedians. If they gotta go after you, they ain't gonna go at all. They gonna be like, hey, let me go before him. They gonna be like, no, we gonna have you go last. Oh no, I ain't gonna go at all then. And that's where the problem happened. But Ced and Steve, they definitely be trying know what Katt talking about, but at the end of the day, it's just small beef at the end of the day. It ain't really gonna be nothing serious. Cause they already know. He just said it before. He said it years ago. He been walking around. They ain't really had no problem with him. It ain't gonna get to that. But nah, I always ain't vibe with saying like that anyways, man. To be real with you, you know what I'm saying? He just really ain't put out no material over the years that really is just funny. In comedy, bro, you gotta put some stuff out over time. And Ced ain't really on that level. We can say like, oh, he a Martin or something like that. No, not really. Not on that level. But that's all I got though. Like and subscribe.